what happened was I met a guy in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I went to school there. And I had a little shack by an onion field, and I didn't have a whole lot of money. So I started picking up the guitar, trying to learn, and I saw a little ad in the paper, and it said guitar instructions, blues and jazz mostly. And this guy, Kurt Black, he called himself. I don't know his real name, but he was on the run, and he was from New York City. He's from New York City. He had played with Benny Carter.
Oh, wow.
And all the heavyweights. And his sub was Grant Green on guitar. And so he was the real deal. And he started a school of jazz in Ann Arbor. And somewhere along the line, he had robbed a bank. And so the cops were after him. And he took off and he started a little school for jazz in Las Cruces where I was at. And
Great story.
And so he taught me harmony. He taught me the fundamentals of harmony, so that I could understand the basics of music before I started really playing a lot of blues. And so
That's a good story.
yeah, well, so eventually he caught lymphoma,
Really?
and so he turned himself in Missouri so he could get treatments, and it cured him.
Wow.
And then he came back to Las Cruces and was teaching again. I don't know where he is now. I have no idea.
How old was the guy?
He was older
Okay.
than us. I was young kid, and he was 40s at the time, 50s, 40s.
He may not be around.
Yeah, he may not be
May
around.
not be now.
Yeah.
So when did you
And
move
then
back
what
to
happened I moved back to Chicago. I was sitting in a old field drinking beer, and I heard faintly Wolf come on the radio, Howlin' Wolf. And I wasn't doing shit in Las Cruces, trying to work for. So I said, I got to go back, home. And I want to play the blues, And I went back and started going into bars and looking for, trying to get up on stage. On the north side, they wouldn't let me on stage,
Really?
because there's, of a higher class, Yeah. And they look down on people that aren't really great, But in the black neighborhoods where they're really playing blues, they said, great, hey man, oh, you don't know how to play? Come on up anyway. We'll teach you. No problem, And that's, that was Hubert Sumlin, and that was the House Rockers, Hound Dogs band, people that could really play, not those Northsiders, who were snobs, So it was really lucky for me. And then Jim O'Neill called me from the Living Blues. He started Living Blues, and he said, because I had done an interview with Gatemouth before, Gatemouth Brown, when I was living in New Mexico, and he said, there's a guy, JB Hutto, we want you to interview. So I went all the way to his home and interviewed him, and I was trying to play, and I interviewed him, and they made a cover story and Living Blues on him, and so I started going every Tuesday. I went out to his house, and we practiced and practiced and practiced, and then eventually he went off with the Hound Dogs band, because Hound Dog passed away, and they had big fights on the road. They had big fights, and he within a couple weeks or a month, he had to get a new band, but he stayed out in Boston and got that band, and he started to make himself, and so that's when he came back, and I was taking lessons, and pretty soon, he said, here, this is my little nephew. His name is Ed. He plays too. And it was little Ed, and his half brother Pookie were there. And so, oh, great. I said, I'm going to be the leader of this band. Oh, little Ed, man, he's head, as thick as the concrete we're sitting on, So he's hard to beat, he can, and so, but it was a natural. I love playing rhythm with him, and then I play my leads. But JB when he taught me, he always taught me to play rhythm, and then he'd say, for the other half of the lesson, he'd say, okay, now you play the leads, and I'll play the rhythm. You sing, you know. So he pushed me to be a full musician, not just a rhythm guy. So mostly for little Ed, I was rhythm, you know.
So you pretty much learned from JB Hutto.
Yeah.
And everything.
And then, but I learned on a practical basis on the bandstand with little Ed. See, because little Ed, we were learning together, you know. We didn't sound all that great back then, me and little Ed. But, you know, it came up. And he had some real original, and we had some basic blues. We stuck to it during the disco era. You know, we stuck to the blues, see? And so what happened was, we got on the north side, and we were playing lumps. We were playing Jimmy Reed, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf. Hey, man, thanks.
Thank you very much.
And so it made us sound good. Dave. Oh,
thank
thanks.
you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good
You know,
evening.
so when we were stuck to the basic driving blues, and it made us sound good, and it made us stand out from all the rest of the guys who are trying to be so slick and uptown. And maybe they're playing a little funk, they're playing James Brown and blah blah, and we're doing, you know, and we're, you know, so we sounded a little different. And Bruce, you know, we had a little edge of rock to us, just a little bit, and Bruce liked it, so he got us. And he recorded us and sent us overseas.